Hi, welcome to Pod of Mercy. I am your host, Longhair Linda, and today's special guest, returning guest co-host is...
Troubz. I'm here, the plug.
Hey, the
Thank you for
plug
having
is
me.
here. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm not bad. I'm not bad. So you know how this goes. You've been here
hmm
already. So
It's really
before we
dope to
start
be here
chopping it
again, by the
up,
way.
huh?
It's really dope to be here again, by the way.
Oh, thank you. No, it's dope to have you for sure. So you know how this goes. Before we even start chatting, we've got to get going with the rapid fire. We don't mess about over here. All right.
Say no
So you've
more.
done this before, but you should know that it's 45 seconds to answer 10 questions.
Wow.
Okay. How confident are
Okay.
you feeling?
Um, confident. Confident. I
Confident.
can't remember. I've done this before, but I can't remember how it went before. But it doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter.
That's a fair point. I probably should have checked, you know. We'll just say you managed it last time. So you did it before, you can do it again.
I can.
All
Let's
right. Well,
get
I'm
it.
going to get my timer together. And then as
Mhm.
soon as I start asking the question, the timer starts, and you have 45 seconds to try and beat me by answering all 10 questions in that
Bet.
time.
Bet.
All right.
10
Okay, cool.
questions, yeah?
It's 10 questions, 10
Okay.
easy, simple questions.
Let's get it.
All right. Ready?
hmm
And go. TikTok or Instagram?
Insta.
Name 3 items you couldn't live without.
Phone, bottle of water. Ah, man, what? Headphones.
Favorite way to relax after a long day?
Just sleep.
Sit down meal in a restaurant or delivery?
Delivery.
What's your best feature?
Eyes.
Most important quality in a friend?
Kind.
First thing you do when you wake up?
Yawn.
Salty or sweet?
Sweet.
Favorite board game?
Checkers.
What's the best dish that you cook?
Chicken. Chicken and
Oh,
rice.
you just 1 second.
Well, I got
One
it.
second left. You did it. You did it.
Come on.
Amazing. Well
Come on.
done.
And I think the first one, I took bed long with the first one. And or
Yeah.
first
So
or
when
second,
you
I
had to
can't
name
remember.
the first one, you were fine. The first one was TikTok or Instagram. You said
Yeah,
TikTok
yeah.
very, very quickly. But it's when you had to name 3 items that you couldn't live without. You got
Yeah, I was
stumped a
like,
little bit.
why am I wasting bare time with this one? Like, what's wrong with this? Like, yeah, I thought that one was gonna make me lose, but then, yeah, caught up.
No, you got it back. You did spend a bit of time in there, but you got it back. You saved it, and you had 1 second left. So very well done.
Come on,
Congratulations. All
appreciate you.
right.
Let's see who else wins this. I want to see a ranking poll as well of this
Do you know
because I'm
what? Now
competitive
that
like
the
that.
podcast has returned, maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do a rankings of who does it, who doesn't, and
hmm
then try and make a little competition out of it somehow.
Yeah,
I'll think through it
yeah,
and see what I come up with.
and then shorten it to 30 seconds.
Well, I could do that because initially, it was 60. Initially, it was a minute, and then I was like, no,
Okay,
this is too easy for people. Let me get it down to 45. So,
yeah. See how
I don't know.
that goes, and then yeah, but let's
30
get it.
seconds feels a bit tight, but that's okay. That's all right. We'll figure it out.
hmm
Okay. So the main topic for today is, well, the actual name of this episode is consistency is key because one, I thought it was really funny. Because today, if you're listening to this or watching this today, it's exactly 5 years to the day that I launched Pod of Mercy. So it was the first ever episode of Pod of Mercy. It was the 16th of October,
Mad.
2019. So was speaking to you about this, and I was thinking, oh
hmm
my god, like imagine if I just continued posting as often as I did at the time, how much
Yep.
content I would have, how much further along I would be. But whatever, we're not thinking
For
about that.
5 years.
Coulda.
Yeah.
Listen, um, yeah. So it was a really interesting time actually when I launched the podcast. I'd had it scheduled before to because I was actually going to have surgery that day. I was literally having
Oh
surgery
man.
that morning. I was getting a gallbladder removed. So I had it all like scheduled and everything to go out everywhere and post to go out all about it while I was, in surgery. And then when I sort of came to later on in the day, Seeing people like be really like excited about the episode and having fun and laughing along. I thought, oh, this is so cute. And yeah, so but even back then, I remember thinking like, I'm not going to be consistent with this, you know. I'm just going to do, and I'm going to drop every other Wednesday, because in my head I was like, if I try and say weekly, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, weekly is mad, but
that's what I'm doing now, apparently.
Well, you have to, if weekly is doing something weekly is mad, but at the same time, it's always doable.
Yeah,
it's always doable. It's always
it's
doable.
doable, but
Because there's
do
7 days in a week. It's 7 days in a week. Like each day is 24 hours. When you think about how much time is in 1 week to dedicate and how long it takes you to get it done,
true.
It makes you think like, so let's say a total 2-3 hours in total to get it done. That including recording, editing, where a total of 3 hours to get it done. 3 hours in 7 days is not having 3 hours in 7 days is mad.
When you put it like that, it honestly just feels like you're shaming me at this point.
Nah, I'm giving you incentive for you to do it going forward.
I hear it. I hear it. No, and I need all the help I can get. But what I found really interesting is when I was speaking to you about this, you said that you felt like you weren't consistent. So I thought this might be a good conversation, because to me, at least from the outside looking in, I'm like, Plug is always posting. You've got some content out there constantly. You've got things out there. So what do you mean? Like, what do you mean you're not consistent?
I think it always goes down to what standard do you set yourself to? And you see, when you think about how do you see your platform in 2 years' time? 2 years ago, I would have thought we would have been in a better position by now. And maybe that's just I'm comparing it to what I would have thought it would have been. Hence why I feel like I'm not consistent enough. And also being very well aware of the time that I waste procrastinating, because procrastination is the enemy of consistency. So yeah,
listen,
it's that. So even me saying to you something, what I was saying to you earlier, sometimes I'm speaking to you, I'm speaking to me. Because I
hear that.
It's that weekly thing, I'm speaking to me. Trust me.
Yeah. No, I hear it. But it is interesting you brought up procrastination, because I was looking up some stuff on procrastination, because I am trying to because it does feel, when you think about it logically and you think about, like you said, how much time is in a day, how much time is in the week to do this, it doesn't take much time at all. And especially if it's something I enjoy, having conversations with people, joking, you know, it's not like rocket science. It doesn't take everything from you. And so I thought, right, let me look into what are some of the causes of procrastination. And I found some peer-reviewed research that suggests procrastination often relates to your mood and emotional mindset. So basically, it doesn't just happen because you're lazy and unproductive. I know that's how it feels, because trust me, when I'm procrastinating, I'm like, I'm being so lazy, I'm not productive, etc., etc. But it says it doesn't necessarily mean you're lazy or you're unproductive or you just don't know how to do something, although self-doubt does play a part in some of the reasons behind it. But it happens because you dread the emotional distress that you foresee. So I don't know if you get this. Sense. I don't know if you get it the same way, but sometimes I think and there's some examples that I found for what that looks like for people. But I know the things that resonated with me specifically is that I'm like, well, I know how to do it and I'll probably have fun doing it, but what's the point? What's the point of doing it? Because it's not, maybe not as many people as I would like are watching it or listening to it, or whatever the thing is. It doesn't even have to be about content creation or anything creative necessarily. It could just be something that a task that I'm just putting off because I'm like, it doesn't really matter, or it makes me anxious in some way. And so I'm thinking about how I'm going to feel either doing it or immediately afterwards. And it hasn't even happened yet. Nothing has actually happened. I'm just, and it's not going to change. The thing will still need to get done.
Yep.
So kind of just a waste of time,
Yeah,
literally.
it's yeah, man. The procrastination is ah, procrastination is literally the enemy of consistency and discipline, man. The enemy, the complete enemy. I feel like I feel like it makes perfect sense because if you every time I'm going through something, but if it's mentally or whatever, it affects sometimes it triggers two mindsets. And some there's pros and cons to this. Like sometimes, and I was talking to someone about this today actually. Like if I'm going through something on one aspect of my life, I to make myself feel better, I'm gonna go and grab the other aspect of my life and improve it,
Okay.
or get some achievements from that side of my life. For let's say I'm going through something, I don't know, family wise or whatever, I'm gonna go and book some battles or something just
Mm-hmm.
because, and dope battles or whatnot. And then I start getting onto Briggsy. Can we announce it? Because I need that. I need that feedback to make me feel good because the other aspect of my life is kicking my ass right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I need some. So because I'm lacking on that side, I'm gonna go and pull from this side and look for some sort of achievements or something to make myself feel better. Or what it can also do is this aspect of my life is kicking my ass right now. I'm procrastinating now.
Mm.
And then
But
you
when
don't do
when you
nothing.
when you go and do something else to like get like some kind of reward or gratification or something like that from another thing,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's like book battles or something like that, do you ever go back to the thing that you were avoiding because it's not doing
So
well?
now, so then sometimes I'll go back to it. And because now I feel better, I'm able, it's like a boost on how to tackle this aspect of my life. And then I'm mentally feeling better and I can see things from a
You can
bit
deal
more
with it.
positive perspective. And or I'll go back to it and be like, and try and avoid it a bit longer. And so again, even though so I said that there's two, either you do that or you don't. But then even when I do that, it can be a positive outcome out of that, or it can be a negative one. Because then you're
Mm-hmm.
still avoiding that issue, is still gonna be there. It's not gonna go anywhere.
Man, it doesn't go anywhere.
It's still
It
there
does not
waiting
go
for you.
anywhere.
All right, cool. You go out and do your thing.
Mm.
It's like you're not allowed out, but you climbed out the window and your mom's waiting for
Oh,
you at your yard. Like, all right, you go out and enjoy yourself. You gotta come back here though.
you still
So
got to
I'ma
go back
see you.
home.
I'ma see you. So
Woo.
when you go back to deal with that issue, it's still there. It's still there, but
It's still
it's
there, and sometimes it may even be worse, depending
exactly
on how long you left it.
because you avoided it, and you then find out that if you dealt with it sooner, it would
It'd
have
have been
been
better.
easier to deal with.
Yeah,
So
that's my life
yeah,
story,
man.
bruh. That
Yeah,
is my life story.
which all of that
Um,
is the enemy of consistency, right?
yeah, 100%. But it's interesting because you did mention like that one of your sort of coping mechanisms is to go and find something positive somewhere else before coming
Mm-hmm.
back and dealing with that situation, because it is that kind of thing of it being an emotional, like a mood thing. It's something in your
Yeah.
mindset. It even say that chronic procrastination has been linked to ADHD, depression, anxiety, OCD, and low self-esteem. But like we said, like the problem is if you leave that thing and you still have to go deal with it, if it becomes worse, if it becomes more challenging, if you feel further away from progress, whatever that looks like, whatever it is that you're
Mm-hmm.
procrastinating from doing or finishing, um, it could lead to actually like making whatever issue that's related to the procrastination in the first place worse. So if it's a
Mm-hmm.
mental health issue, for example, if you've got depression, procrastinating can is a symptom of it, but can also make it worse.
Mm-hmm.
Or like
Yep.
if you're feeling shit about it and you're not necessarily suffering with depression clinically, right? But you're feeling shit about a situation, you're not feeling good about a situation, not doing it and it being harder when you try and do it, or it being more whatever, that makes you more sad and more depressed. So it's like,
No, it's true. It's
it
true.
just, you get stuck in like a horrible cycle, which I, when I was reading this, I was like, this is 100%. It's happened to me on many occasions with different things.
But even reading that is so important,
Yeah.
because I feel like there's the unknown. The unknown causes a lot of anxiety. So when you don't understand your emotions and what you're going through and whatnot, that causes a lot of anxiety, which also adds to the issue, right? Which makes the issue worse. However, reading that helps you identify how your emotions and how you're feeling. So sometimes I actually, when I read it, and when I say read it, it's not just read it, yeah, you know it, cool. You need to read this more than once. Like, set reminders to go back to it every 3 months or anything like that. Because once you're going through it, you understand, this is what I'm going through. I'm feeling like this because I'm going through this. And that kind of eliminates the unknown factor of it, which might not help everything, but it helps something. Helps a good percentage.
And you can never go wrong with being kinder to yourself, like telling yourself, hey, I'm not, all the things that you tell yourself in your head, I'm lazy, I'm not productive, I'm da-da-da, like all of those things, you can cancel them out to some degree by reminding yourself of this, reminding yourself that actually that's not always what procrastination is related to. It is because of this emotional link, whatever that looks like for you in that moment. And you're kind of being kind to yourself by taking the power away from that thing, whatever it is. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're not, because a lot of it is like you kind of shame yourself and you guilt yourself, and then that's not going to make you do the thing any quicker. It's just not going to help you.
Man, that happens to me so much, man. So
Listen,
much.
you want to talk about guilt? I'm the master of self-shame. This one, woo. Yeah, but anyway, I did look up some tips. We've kind of covered it already, some of it anyway, but I looked up some tips on managing procrastination. So forgive yourself for procrastinating in the past.
That one.
That one.
Easier said than done, but yeah.
Much easier said than done. But I think I'm gonna like, if I had to just pick one right now, I'm gonna actively work on that one, because I think that is a big thing. And I think I'm already kind of doing it by bringing out Pot of Mercy back now, because that's been my whole talking point in my head for the last like 2 years is, oh, listen, I stopped being consistent. I didn't put episodes out. It doesn't matter. I have to be like, no, don't even worry about all that. Don't worry about how many episodes you'd have, how much content you have, how many potential listeners you might have had. That shoulda, woulda, coulda doesn't mean anything. Just focus on now what you can actually do. And what you can do is, text some friends and be like, hey, do you want to be on the podcast? That you can do. You can chat to your mates online. It's not gonna, so that's one thing that I'm really taking away from this, is I'm gonna forgive myself to the best of my ability for procrastinating in the past.
Exactly.
For sure.
Exactly that. That might be, I don't know what the next one is, but that might be my one as well. But
I've got a few. So let's see. Challenge any false beliefs that you have.
Okay, I hear that.
So there are 4 main ways that they say that you can get these false beliefs. So overgeneralizing. So if you didn't do well at something before, or at something similar, or it didn't take off like you wanted, so that's more of a content creation thing. You think to yourself, well, this thing that you want to do now isn't going to go well either, so why bother? That's like an overgeneralizing. You're kind of putting everything, you're just being like, it's not going to work. It didn't work before, it's not going to work. Then you've got discounting the positive. So any praise that you got for doing well before, you think it isn't deserved because it was just luck or a fluke. That's the reason why people are liking what you did.
Yeah.
So that could be for content creation. That could be like if you were putting out things consistently at one point and you had some content out there, or even if you just had like one episode or whatever it is that you're doing, people were saying really nice things to you and you're like, oh, that was just lucky. People are like, oh no, yeah, we really enjoyed it. And you're like, oh no.
Yeah, nah, I don't do that one. I don't do that one.
I think
feel
I
like
kind of do that.
Nah, I take pride on my work.
That's good.
That's something I take pride on my work. And I make sure I credit myself for my work. And I don't let anyone discredit me either. I make sure with that. So I think I'm good with that one.
That's really good. I'm really good for doing that for other people. Like I won't let people discredit.
And that's how I started. That's how I started, by doing it.
And then you were able to do it for yourself.
And then I thought, hold on, why am I selling myself short over here? Nah, man. Because especially on things that I'm very passionate about, it's not accident. It's not accident. And I can show you why it's not accident, because I can do it again. Watch.
Yeah.
And those things drive me to do more. Like, so yeah, I don't play with that.
Well, that's good. I'm gonna try and work on that as well, low-key. And then another way you can get false beliefs is catastrophizing. So this is similar to the overgeneralizing, but it takes it like a step further. So it's thinking that the last thing was even worse than it was. So it's like, not only is it not worth trying now, but it's just not even possible.
I do that to a certain extent.
Yeah, catastrophizing, I think, is something I do sometimes as well.
Yeah, to a certain extent.
I think catastrophizing is what I did, not creatively. I think catastrophizing is something I did education-wise. Like when I had to study for something, I would end up or write something, some kind of essay or something. I'd leave it. I'm always a very last-minute person anyway, but I would leave it like super, super late because I was catastrophizing for sure. I was thinking that, I don't know, I had like a really distorted view of what had happened in the past or my results in the past or whatever. And it didn't matter whether I knew the truth. I was telling myself that it was just not gonna, it was not gonna be good. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I do that sometimes. But that's why, to fight that, I use the one before. Like I used the but I've done this and I've done that though. And because I've done this and I've done that, it can't be impossible. But it's a constant battle, isn't it? Like you feel differently every day, innit? On
every
a Monday,
time.
you might feel one way, Tuesday, you might feel a different way. So yeah, I try to use the one before to fight this one.
Well, that's good, because you're challenging those false beliefs, because it's a false belief. If you've got evidence that it wasn't bad, then it's, it's not true.
Make it, you start telling yourself that the next step or something is impossible for you to do.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know,
we tell ourselves.
Yeah, and the next thing you know, you're like, oh, it wasn't impossible. Yeah, man.
It's actually pretty easy and very doable. I hate that when you've been putting something off for ages and you do it, you're like, oh, is that it?
I could have done it a long time ago.
Could have done it, and it would have been off my plate.
Time. And then you kick yourself because you wasted time. That's what I do. I kick
good old bit of guilt, little shame.
Yeah.
And then the last part of false beliefs is mental filtering. So again, this is similar to discounting the positive, but instead it's like thinking, you're not thinking of like it was luck that got you the praise before, but you forget that you even got any praise at all. So the other one is like, oh, I see people say, yeah, this was fire. And in my head, I'm like, that's luck. That's the other one. This one, mental filtering, is like, I just filtered that out completely. I don't even remember that people said that was fire. Like that one is tough, because I think I kind of have that sometimes. It depends on how, because we're talking obviously about emotions, it depends on how anxious I am or how depressed I'm feeling. That one can happen to me as well. I can forget all the good things that anyone or the people have said about this one thing and just be like so deeply introspective constantly and not even taking from an external source that actually this was good.
Mhm.
Yeah, just pretend
Yeah.
it didn't even happen, which is crazy.
Yeah. That nah, I don't think I go through phases. I don't do that one often. Sometimes I do. Do you know?
Mm,
And it's mad because you remember the negative way more than you remember the positive, man. And you can have 50 people telling you something is great, and then one person tells you it's not. You stop and pay a lot more attention to the person that told you it's not.
yeah.
You can scroll, and I feel like everyone will do that. Do you know how many people I know that went through that talk to me about a certain YouTube comment, for example? But I'm like, okay, so you stopped on this one. Everything else says different, but this one got your attention though. And I think we need to start paying as much attention to the positives as to the negatives.
I think it's challenging though because of the way we're wired. Because everybody has this issue, right?
Mhm.
Everybody, at least innately, there are probably tricks and things that they've done to overcome that. But innately,
We
I
all
feel
do
like,
that.
yeah, I think innately we all do that. Like we all feel like you could have 1,000 people say amazing, amazing, amazing. You have one person go, it was
Yeah.
fine, or it was shit. And that is all you can think about, especially when it comes to putting something out creative, whether that's, a painting or some content on YouTube or, a podcast, audio only, or, whatever it is that you put out. Like it's something that you're doing that's not like salaried work. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not
Yeah.
just going to work and clocking in. It's not
Yeah.
a simple task that's A, B, C, D. It's like it's something that's coming from you. That's what kind of creativity is. And having people say nice things is all well and good. But if you got that one person that doesn't like that thing that you've spent
Yeah.
time on and energy and effort, and you've also created it literally from your brain, it's like shit. Like why?
Yeah.
Why would you even? And then you
Yeah.
focus on it, you hyper focus on it. And I don't think being on like the way we interact with each other on social media, the way the algorithms are, I think they're making it even worse, to be honest. So I
Yeah.
feel like, yeah, it is one of those things where you will filter typically, and you'll filter
Girls,
out all
yeah.
the good stuff and focus on
Yeah.
the bad.
Yeah. That
Well,
100%.
another way, so that was challenge any false beliefs that you have. So another way was, more than just challenging those beliefs, you should try to come up with other potential explanations to reframe your distorted thoughts. So you said you do this
Mm,
actually because you list positives of the last thing that you
yeah.
did or of other
Well,
things that
not
you've
all the
done.
time, but yeah, I do try to not to snap back out of that. I need to and go back to my accolades and
Yeah.
what I've done right to make myself feel better
Hmm.
and get that boost to fight that. Yeah,
They say
definitely.
even as simple as simply saying, no one gave any negative feedback, nothing terrible happened, nobody died. Even that,
Mhm.
even if you can't, because of whatever state you're in, even if you can't list, glowing, wonderful things, you could say, hey, nothing bad happened, like nothing
Mhm.
negative happened.
Yeah.
Another tip is to take things slow, one step at a time. So we were talking about this as well the other day, because I
Yeah.
was saying how there's this I want to do, there's this I want to do, there's this. But right now I'm going to focus, because
Oh
that's a way
my.
of procrastinating too, is thinking about all the things I need to do. And then it feels
Oh my
completely
days.
impossible.
So many times you say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this, and then you end up doing nothing that day.
You do none of it. Overwhelmed, just completely overwhelmed before you've even started.
Do you know how
And
many
nothing
times
gets done.
because of my hours changed and everything, and then I want to stream more, but because of my hours and everything, I can't do. And I remember, and you start remembering, you start like I'm not remembering, you start forgetting certain things. Like I used to stream a lot more, but I'm not thinking that when I was streaming the most, it's the pandemic. I was at home all every day.
Yep.
Of course you was doing more. Duh. But now, because I'm not doing to the same level of consistency, I'm like, oh, I'm tired or whatnot, and my life completely changed, or I'm wrong, then I'm with the kids and whatnot. So the day that I'm free, and I can see a day that I'm free in 2 weeks' time. You see that day, I want to do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do this because I've got 24 hours for me that day, and that don't happen often. I need to make the
Mhm.
most out of that day. Listen, that day comes sometimes, yeah. Hmm. I haven't, and then I look at the time, half the day's gone, I haven't moved yet. And I'm like,
Of
wow.
course.
And then the rest of the day is me kicking my ass, kicking myself for the first half of the day. So I done nothing. And then the next day and the next for the rest of the week, I'm kicking myself because I've done nothing.
Because in your mind you wasted that day because you planned everything for that day, to do not only everything on that day, but also the reason behind you planning for that day is because it's your only off day. It's the
Mhm.
only day you had to yourself. It's, you said it's 24 hours. Yeah, it's the only 24 hours that you had to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could be this, super amazing, multitasking, putting out a million projects in that 24 hours. Yeah. Or you could do what the human body actually needs to do often, and that's rest. So you
Mhm.
did that for the first half of your day. And then the second half of your day, you just spent the whole time being like, I've not been productive. I've not
But
been. Now
but
you're
even
shaming
that,
yourself.
I wouldn't even call it rest because you procrastinate. Your mind's not resting. You
Yeah, your
still
mind.
know that
Yes.
your mind's not resting because you procrastinate, and I'm gonna do this in a minute, and I'm gonna do this in a minute, and then I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna do this for the whole half of your day. And when you get to that point and you look at a time and it hits you, bing, oh, I haven't even done nothing. So, and it's already this time, and then you spend the
Hmm.
rest of that day also. So your mind's not even on a resting mind state. Like
No.
your body can rest, but if your mind's not on a resting mind state, you're still gonna feel tired the next day. So then the next day
If
comes,
anything,
you're
more
still
tired.
tired, you ain't done nothing, and then you kick yourself even more because I I wasted the day
I'm
for real.
so lazy, I'm so unproductive. And it's
And
like
then
you
you're
haven't
not
had
kind to yourself.
yeah, then you do it all over again. And then the next
Mhm.
time you have a break, you don't really have a break because mentally you're still thinking about all these things that you want to do and how terrible you are because you didn't do them before. And you'll just keep doing that.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, take things slow is one for me, one step at a time. Okay. So today I haven't got all the content that I wanted to get done by this time last year, whatever it was, whenever I had the idea for whatever other content I wanted to create. That's all right.
Mhm.
Right now, we're gonna focus on Pot of Mercy. And more than that, we're gonna focus on this episode of Pot of Mercy, get it
Mhm.
done, get it edited, get it out. Once I've done that, okay, now I can
Next
take
step.
the next step and then the next one,
Mm.
and then until I get into a habit that works for me where I'm productive and I can go right now because I can carve out some time now. I'm in the swing of things. I can say right now, let me look at this other thing I wanted to do, this
Mhm.
other project I wanted to undertake.
Once you have your
Because
routine,
exactly, having a
the
routine,
route
and
in.
also being like, I find for me the way my mind is set up, when I'm efficient in one area it will springboard into another thing. So if I'm sticking to something and I'm consistent in something,
Mhm.
more often than not, if I'm doing it for long enough, I can go, I feel good, let me add this,
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Like
and then you
because
can get
that's
in the swing of
discipline,
more
though, isn't
things.
it? Like once you get into discipline on anything, then
Yes.
discipline mindset kicks in, and discipline consistency is all the same thing to me. Like that's yeah.
Yep.
And without discipline, there's nothing. You need discipline to save money. You need discipline for if you want results on anything, requires
Yes.
discipline. So that having discipline on something, like I've got my little brother was telling me, yo, I'm going gym not because I want to look for a certain way, really because I want to save money. And What do you mean you want to save money? You go in gym because you want to save money? Nah, because I want that discipline mindset of no matter how hard it is that day, I have to go and do this. So that's the mindset that I want. No matter how much how it is, I'm gonna have to save this amount of money somehow. I
Mhm.
have to, and that's the mindset. It's all about your yeah. Once you like you said, once you do something in one area, you then everything then springboards into other
You
parts of
start
your
to
life.
be confident as well. Like you start feeling yourself a little bit when you've had some discipline in something, and you feel. I feel like that confidence helps as well when you're trying to attack
Mhm,
this other thing, because you're like, I can do this. It's not.
mhm.
Whereas, because any other time, if you haven't had discipline in something else that you wanted to do or something else that was important or whatever it is in your life, you then go, "Oh, I can't do that. I can't." That
Yeah.
adds to it. Do you know what I mean? It adds to the feeling that you can't do it. Whereas if you can get some confidence with something else, something, even if it's easy, something easy that
Mhm.
you know you can do, you could be like, if I can do that, yeah, I can do this. And then it's a little cheat that I have for sure.
100%.
And that kind of leads me on to the other tip, which is create obstacles and rewards. So, for example, if you are a streamer, let's say you're a streamer, and or you put out video, let's say you put out video content and you need to edit, right? If you find that you're constantly picking up your phone and your phone is a distraction, so once you're on it, you're then scrolling,
Yeah.
and your task takes so much longer than it has to. One tip that I saw was that you can actually put in breaks. So you say, I'm going to put do not disturb on my phone. I'm going to edit for, I don't know, half an hour. But then I'm going to give myself a 15-minute break.
Mhm.
In that 15 minutes,
So then you
I
don't
can
feel
watch
guilty when you do it.
I can watch my memes, my videos, I
Yeah.
can scroll, but I've got it so I pad it into my schedule. So my schedule doesn't just read edit from this time to this time. It says edit, but there's also break. And then there's
Mhm.
edit again. So that when I'm actually editing, I've rewarded myself for having that, for getting rid of that obstacle for myself. I've created, something in there that's going to allow me to get this task done quicker, but still enjoying it because I like being on my phone in that example. But I also do
Yeah.
like being on my phone. So yeah, that one works for me.
Nah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
And then yeah, so I also found some tips from a Buffer article. I don't know if you know Buffer. Buffer is the one they do that scheduling. I used to use it for an old job to schedule like a bunch of social media posts. But they have like a
Okay.
little blog section, and they had an article in there that had tips for staying consistent, specifically for content creation.
Mm.
So it says build a content strategy that's based on what you know, what people want to know, and what makes you unique.
Mhm. I like that. Build a content strategy on what you know, what people want to know, and your
What makes
USP
you unique,
basically.
your USP, exactly. Which I thought was, when you read it, you're like, yeah, of course. But it's actually it's really good advice that's very simple, because
Yeah.
it's like, what do you want to put out there? What's your content? What are the audiences, the people, what are they looking for? And why would they tune into you?
Yeah.
And I think
And
having a
and
content
be
strategy is
really
so
honest
smart.
with yourself as well. Be honest with yourself in the sense of s- don't and this is my thing. Be honest with yourself in the sense of don't just rely on sympathy from other people as well. If people didn't watch your content, they didn't watch your content because it wasn't for them, and that's okay.
Mm,
That's
yes.
okay. It doesn't mean your content is trash. It wasn't for a specific person. It's up to you to, even for musicians, for example, a musician might make a song. I didn't like that one. I didn't like that one. You shouldn't want me. He shouldn't want me to share it because I'm just doing a favor to them. I should share it because I enjoy it and I like it, because that's what actually means something to your content. Me not sharing it because I didn't like it, it should be okay. Do you know what I'm saying? And
I hear that.
some people sometimes get caught up with the, oh, everyone should support, or nah, man, people should support whatever they like. And if they didn't support something, it's okay. Maybe you keep doing your thing, and maybe they're gonna come across something that they'll want to support, something that they enjoy. It's just as simple as that. Stop.
Or
I hear people.
maybe you'll never get them. Maybe you'll never get those people.
Yeah,
but
maybe that's not your audience.
That's not your audience. Exactly. I don't know what I was watching recently, but they were having a discussion. It obviously must have been a podcast, but they were having a discussion where they were saying, all you can do as somebody, specifically if you create content, all you can do is keep creating that content. Because if you're authentic to yourself, the people that like you, they're there. This is a big, big world. The people that like you will find you.
Yeah.
Your tribe,
and you need to find them, and they need to find you.
Exactly. You can. They will never find you if you're not consistent. They will never
100%.
find you if you're not posting, if you're not putting that content out there. If you don't create it and publish it, they will never find you.
100%.
And also, it's not going to be for everyone. But who cares for everyone? Who wants everyone? Everyone is crazy. If you really think about it, you shouldn't want everyone, because that's way too many people in your business. And that's just, it doesn't sound like a good time.
Yeah, nah, man. Yeah, it's just about being honest, man, and stop. The game ain't based on sympathy, like they say, innit? So stop looking for pity and just keep creating.
Look for your people. Yeah.
Look for your audience.
Find you find them. Yeah, exactly. I think that's a good one. So that was the first tip. The second tip was develop and follow a simple process to get your content created and out to people. So this I kind of took as more of like just getting your, like, just plan. I love planning. Planning is my favorite part of doing anything. Genuinely speaking, like, planning is my favorite thing. So for me, what this looks like is being like, all right, so on these days are the days where I would reach out to people. These days are going to be the days that I'm brainstorming ideas. These days, and they don't have to be completely set in stone, but that's the process. My process is I need to think of an idea. Who would that be great for? Oh, talking about this particular topic. That would be really good for this person. Sick. Write it down. Make a note of it. And then I'll have, on the day where I'm contacting people for future episodes, all right, I contact them. And then I've got a day where I'm filming or, editing or whatever it takes to actually, create the content itself and put it out. And that way, the process is just very like, I know what I have to do all the time. It doesn't change. There's nothing new about the process, but I have something that's simple and easy to follow and takes the strain away from feeling like it's a challenge. Does that make sense?
So it doesn't cause that much anxiety and everything.
Yeah. And it doesn't feel like, oh, it's impossible, it's overwhelming, it's insurmountable. No, it's actually very, very easy.
There's a structure.
Like,
no. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That definitely makes sense.
Okay, so that was tip number 2. The third tip is don't seek inspiration. Build a habit instead. Oof. That man just said, we're going to speak to you directly. Because this one
seek
is
inspiration, build a habit instead.
Because the way I'm like,
how many times do you
inspired, motivated?
Yeah, and that's what consistency is, isn't it? Like once you in discipline, because once you do it at certain times, it becomes a habit, right? Once you do a certain amount of times, is now it's part of your routine. I can't remember what the exact number is, but once you do something, I don't know, for a certain amount of times, now this is a habit, is a part of your routine kind of thing. It's literally built into your routine now. And for that takes consistency and discipline. Yeah.
And if you break that habit, like once or twice here or there, fine, it's still a habit. But if you break it, I think it's like 3 times. So like with the gym, if you like 3 times when you were supposed to go to the gym, you don't go, you just you fall out, you've broken that habit until you build it back up again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, this one, I felt like, you know, when you read something and you're like, do you not know me? Like, did someone write
Spoke
this
to
who
you.
knows me in real life? Because the way I'm constantly trying to find inspiration and motivation and whatever, that doesn't work. It doesn't. You're not going to be inspired and motivated every day. You're actually just not.
Yeah, it's impossible.
It's impossible. Imagine that was your life. Every day you're inspired. That could probably get tiring, actually.
Yeah, it's impossible because people have different moods in it. So it's impossible. One day you feel happy, one day you feel sad, one day you feel extra. It's different, you know. There's days where certain things, I might read certain things, and reading this today is fine. If I read this yesterday, it would have triggered me.
Yep.
And so yeah, different days, different moods in it.
Yeah, absolutely. Same thing, but it just catches you on the wrong day. It's a problem.
Yeah.
All right. So the fourth, there's 5 tips in total. So the fourth tip is leverage the power of automation. So schedule things, use AI tools for like captioning videos or whatever else. Whatever that looks like for what you're trying to do. Basically, you just need to find tools that are going to help speed the process up, save you time, save you headaches, save you, you know, whatever. You can focus on doing something completely different, and hopefully that's going to generate another idea in your brain because you're not stressing about trying to do the little mundane tasks constantly. Now, for me, this one is okay, but it doesn't really apply to me as much because the mundane stuff is the stuff I actually prefer, to be honest. So I like, you know, organizing things in folders and, you know, planning things out. All of that kind of stuff is fun for me. But I get it. Like, I know that and then there are certain things I will automate just because it does make your life easier. Like obviously captioning videos, typing it all up is insane.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Impossible.
So that's the fourth one. And then does that feel like something that would probably work for you as well? Do you tend to schedule things and
I tend to plan a lot more lately. And it's plan it somehow. And it's just being efficient and finding ways to you know, it is. I had a manager back in the day that used to tell us like we need to be proactive instead of reactive. And if you're reactive, you're waiting for something to go wrong to then react. If you're proactive, you avoid whatever it is from going wrong. So we know historically that if you do this is what happens, then the second time you prevent it from happening, innit?
Be ready.
Yeah. So I think that made me plan things a lot more and make sure I'm not wait for things to go pear-shaped and then be like, do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think I plan things a lot more still.
I hear that. Yeah, listen, a bit of planning is a bit of me. I love it. In fact, I'll probably shame myself more for something happening, an eventuality of some sort, and me having dropped the ball, not being ready.
Do you think you plan too much?
Yes.
Because that was also a problem.
Yeah, I can plan myself into not doing it.
Because you see how we're talking about planning to be more efficient. There's planning, and now it's 8 p.m.
Yep. That's literally happened to me, and I'm like, tomorrow, man. It's gonna have to be tomorrow.
So all this planning, so we also have to find ways to plan smart.
Yeah, for sure. One of the tricks I have is that so for example, if I'm planning let's just keep it to Podomacy. If I'm planning an episode, then I will contact the person and book it so I have a day. I have a day where this is going to happen. This is the day we're going to record. So if I'm planning for something ahead of time, it needs to be done by then. I don't have any other option. So sometimes I'll do little tricks like that. I even do that at work with certain things. I'm like, if I put a deadline on it in some way, whatever that looks like, then I know I have to do it before that. So that kind of stops me from too much over planning. I still do it sometimes depending on what it is, but
you see
yeah,
that
that is a challenge.
that is great, and I feel like in order for people, and I'm just speaking in general, not necessarily you, that means you're really good at it, which is great. There's people that are not honest with themselves, and I think that is one that's very, be honest with yourself, because your mind will look for excuses to bail out of things.
Yes.
Like, I'm trying to get out of this. I know I said, according to that, I'm going to be disciplined and consistent, so I'm going to do it. Yeah. All right. I'm going to do it. But can I really do it? My webcam is a bit scratched up though. Like, can I really do it? Oh, my microphone is, I don't really like the way he's looking right now. Like, can I do it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, so then your mind is telling you, looking for way, because you don't want to do it. So your mind is looking for ways to get out of it. So, and a lot of times they use the planning part to get out of it. So while you're planning, you again go into, I can't even do this. You go into one of the previous points that you mentioned earlier. That it leads you, when your mind don't want to do something, and it leads you a whole other path. So, and that's why I said you gotta be honest with yourself and understand and identify those emotions. And I'm trying to talk myself out of this. I can do it. It's not hard. My mic's fine. Camera's fine. Yo, what's happening? Procrastination is trying to fight his way in. You gotta free all that thing.
And even like the mind is so powerful, because even without it being like a long-term procrastination thing. So even with filming this today, for example, so obviously this is the first time I'm going to have visuals for the podcast. By the way, if you're listening still on the audio platforms, if you prefer to watch, there is video on the YouTube. If not, then that's okay. You can stay audio. I know some people prefer listening rather than watching a video when they're doing other things. So that's all good. You're more than welcome to stay there too. They'll continue to be on all platforms. But I think that if I had, because I was thinking, I'm going to I planned to put a little background or whatever for here, right? I did all that, but I thought I'm not going to try and set everything up ahead of time. I'm just going to do it today when we agreed to meet.
Yeah.
And so, of course, when you joined the call, I was like, listen, everything that could have gone wrong was going wrong. If this had happened yesterday, you would have had a WhatsApp from me saying, listen, my setup, I don't know what is going on, but let's push this.
Yeah.
Because that's how I am. Like, I was so stressed out by, and when you look back at it, it was only a few things, and I just maneuvered. Neither of the cameras I wanted to use are working. So guess what? We're gonna have to rely on my old laptop. It's here. You can see me, can't you? So what does it matter? Right?
Nice and clear. Yep.
My lighting, my ring light, I don't know what happened to all that. I've got a good bright lamp right here. I just had to position it for a little bit, and you can see me again. It doesn't matter. So all the making things perfect. That's a problem with people who are planners are often perfectionists. So that combination there is not good, because that's what will lead you to plan and never actually do the thing, because nothing is ever going to be perfect.
And that is, and I always see that point. I started telling myself, do you know what? It doesn't have to be great, because as it's gradually getting better, the audience will appreciate and love the growth, because they feel like they're part of a journey. And that only helps your channel anyway, or whatever you're doing. Like
100%.
People seeing growth makes them more invested. I remember when you used to be like this. That's a part of the, you know what I'm saying? It can only help you. So if you was perfect from the get-go, you're setting your ceiling anyway. That means you're at your ceiling already. That's dead. That's dead. You want to have a high ceiling. You want to have a high ceiling. And we want to see that. We want to see the growth. We don't want perfect straight away. Do you know what I mean?
I hear it. 100%. Coming from somebody who's an audience, part of an audience of many, shows and YouTube things, I love seeing how far people come with, do you know what I mean? With their content, with their setup, with the studios and that. When you see them go into like a studio and it goes from being in someone's house to like a studio, and you're like, oh my days, this is amazing. And like,
Yeah.
you know, they step up their sound, they step up their lighting, they step up their cameras. You start getting things in 4K, and you can put it up on a TV, and it looks amazing. And
Yeah.
all of this kind of stuff is truly like, yeah, especially if you really fuck with that creator, if you really like them, and you've been watching them and following them, and then you see them do really well, it kind of gives you a warm feeling like you're also
Yeah.
doing well, like you help them
Yeah.
in some way, or that you're even part of it in some way,
You're
which I
part
think
of
is
his
really
growth. Nah, you're part of the
100%.
growth of his brand because you've seen from where, and you know, when someone people always say this every single time, no matter what the situation is. Whenever they're talking about that, like let's say you're speaking about this content creator, you've been watching for time, you've seen the progress and everything. Whenever you come across someone that also watches them, they always say, I've been watching them since, to let the other person know
I'm an
that,
OG.
yeah, I've seen them from, it was, that's why it's important for people to see the progress, because that line always comes up.
Mm,
Always. People always going to say, I have been watching since, if it's been a massive transition. Do you see what I'm
yes.
saying? There's
Yeah.
someone out there saying, I've seen Chunks since whatever. I
Hmm.
remember Maya Jama when she just moved to London and she was trying to get into radio. Now you know what I mean? It's just those
Yeah.
kind of things. People I remember since I'm a part of this. So
Yeah.
wherever you're in, I'm a part of it. And people like that. So people love a success story in it. So
Very, very true. And then the fifth and final tip
mhm,
is find your rhythm and stick with it.
there you go.
Again, you basically just told me to be consistent, and that's what I came to you for help with. But that I understand. Get into your rhythm once you've
Mhm.
done the other things, once you've got your content strategy, you've developed your process, you're building a habit, and you're using things to help make it easier, get rid of any boring tasks that you don't want to do. You've got your rhythm. Now you just got to stick with it.
Yeah.
And
Be
apparently,
consistent.
Troubz, that is how you become a consistent person or a consistent content creator if that is your goal.
Hmm. That's it. I think
All right.
that's
Well, now we just got to do
I
it. We
think
talked about it. Now we got to do it.
exactly. I was just about to say that. So let's set up things that we all going to consistently do for each other.
Okay.
Like what you gonna do on your own and what I'm gonna do. So obviously review is probably a week, one episode a week. That's what
Yes.
you're committing yourself to.
Oof. Yeah, I've told everyone now. So yeah.
All right. I'm gonna start small and I'm gonna say every 2 days there has to be for let's say at least 30 days. Again, I'm starting small. Every two
Mhm.
days there has to be, actually, let me not be a little pussy. Every day
Oh,
there has to be every day there has to be a plug TV upload, whether it be shorts, whether it be something, for 30 days. I'm gonna go with that one.
okay. So for 30 days, so
There
from the
has to be.
16th of October to the 16th of November, every day,
I'm gonna try.
something.
I don't know how good that's gonna go, but I'm gonna
Okay.
try.
I
So
believe in you. Or will it be 16? Yeah, it will be. I think.
Koji did one a day till 100 go for I don't know how long, and his
That's
task is a
true.
lot harder than so. I must be able to go and clip something every day and
Yeah,
post it.
clip it.
Come on, man. I
Repurpose,
just
man.
I
Repurpose
just
that
have to go
content.
and clip something and post it. It can't be that hard.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's really good. I think because you also mentioned how your mind can trick you into not doing things and tell you that it's
Mhm,
not possible or whatever your brain tries to do to get out of the task. Sometimes we can't trust ourselves to do it because our brain might
mhm.
try and sabotage. But you can tell someone. So you can tell a friend, someone that's going to keep you honest and accountable.
Yeah, because you
You
said it.
can
Yeah.
you can tell people, tell somebody, one person,
Now,
multiple people.
talking to people is definitely find have a creative. Well, I don't think it has to be a creative per se, but someone that you trust and you like talking to, or whatever. Whether if is they say things, they help you in somehow, whatever. Have someone that sometimes can tell you when you're kicking yourself, or one can tell you, "Nah, it's okay."
Yeah.
That can do that, and also can tell you when your mind's playing tricks on you. Now you can do it, like bounce ideas, so many things. I think that is so important. Having someone
100%.
like, I remember, like, I think if, for example, me and Jen, we chop it up over content often, like we bounce ideas or whatever. And I remember Jen said this to me a while ago, and it stuck with me till this. Why are you so mad at that? Well, I no, she didn't even say that. She said, "I hear why you mad at that, but you should be focusing. Try and focus more on what you can control, because some things you can't." And listen, you see that one there, yeah, focusing on what you can control, man. This went wrong, but there's nothing I could have done to stop
What
it.
are we gonna do? We
It
gotta keep
is what it
pushing.
is, then, innit? And
Yeah.
because me, when things go wrong, I sink. I don't want to chat
Same.
to no one. I go into my own, yeah. See battle cancellations and whatnot. Can no one chat to me? I better come off Twitter, because I'm gonna get pissed off. I'm gonna say, listen, let me just, yeah.
Hmm.
But I couldn't control that. Wasn't up
No.
to me. My man
Yeah.
didn't show up. I can't. I did everything I said I was gonna do. Do you know
Yep.
what I mean? So I think that one there, but I blame myself a lot for those ones. So
Mm.
remembering to focus on what you can control is important. But yeah, anyway, the main point of that one was find someone that you can bounce ideas with, tell you certain things, and vice versa. Do you know what I mean? I think that's
Yeah.
important.
Yeah, definitely. Talk to a friend, talk to a family member, talk to somebody that's, maybe a work colleague, just someone that can, remind you of what it is that you said, someone you can bounce ideas with, whatever that looks like for you. And if you want to, tell us in the comments. If you're watching on YouTube, tell us something that you want to
100%.
achieve, or you can at me at Pod of Mercy if you want to.
Definitely do
On
that.
Twitter, if you're listening and you want to still mention it, then absolutely let us know. I'm curious. I'm always nosy, so feel free to tell me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well that was a good one. I think there was some tidbits in there. There's some things I think I need to make sure I work on and stick
Likewise.
to, so that I can, just continue to build on what I've started, and so I can be consistent, because consistency obviously is key.
Mm-hmm.
Should we move on then to the final segment of the show?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So this segment of the show is called Mahakama. Mahakama is the Swahili word for court. I think specifically it's high court. So this is just a segment where I've seen something has happened in culture, or I've experienced something outside, and I just think there's some conversation in there that needs to happen. I
Mm-hmm.
can be a little bit of a judgmental person. I'm getting better in my regular life. I'm getting much better, but I
And that's
have
okay.
this segment right here allows me to be judgmental as I want, get it out of my system, then I can go back to regular life and just be, judgment free.
Let's talk about
So
it.
I read a tweet recently,
Mm-hmm.
and I've spoken about this with a couple of people, but I thought it'd be perfect to speak with you about, because you're a parent as well.
Mm-hmm.
So this is
I'm a
from
very
Martha.
sensitive parent too. So wow.
I
Let's
love
go.
it. I love it. So this is from Martha at MXMS World on Twitter. And she tweeted, teachers are saying parents aren't reading enough with their children. They're saying 11-year-olds cannot read 4-letter words. So that was the first part of the tweet. And then Tony D ended up actually sharing the stat. And it says the average reading age for adults in the UK is 9 to 11 years old. So that's for adults. Okay.
Wow.
So yeah, basically teachers are coming out and saying, hey, parents, you need to be reading at home with your kids. You need to read with your kids. And some people are saying, well, you're the teachers. We're sending them to school. I learned to read in school. Why aren't my kids learning to read in school? So, firstly, I want to get your thoughts on that. And then I have a question for you because I would like to find out if you're going to be giving certain people and their opinions mercy or no mercy. But before we get into that, what are your thoughts as a
Man,
parent? Obviously, I'm not a parent yet, so everything is
listen,
theoretical for me.
relying on one person that's got 15 heads to deal with at the same time.
30 plus in these classrooms.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? At the same time. So your child can learn is crazy. Crazy. School, my daughter's school actually pushes parents to make sure that she actually has a diary, and the diary is yeah, so is obviously numbered by daily and whatnot, and every day we have to put what she read that day.
Nice.
We have to write what she read that day. So no matter where she's at, even if she don't read the whole book or child, or even if is me reading to her, that counts too. That's what he says. Me reading to her, or so sometimes I was getting late. Well, even I was late here. She had to make sure she got at least 2 pages in, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
that just I don't feel no way about it because that's making me understand the level she's at. Like I want to be involved. You relying on a teacher to that's got 30 kids at the same time. And listen, it's not easy. I went to help out with they had a trip to the zoo, and I said, yeah, I'll help them out. I'll go. I said, never,
Be a
I'm not doing that
chaperone.
again. I'm not doing that again. Because I can see my child. If I say, listen, quiet, it's gonna be quiet. I don't have to speak a certain tone. It's just there's an understanding. We have a understanding, great communication. See other people's kids. Can you be? And then they're not listening. What do we do now? Because I don't know. I can only tell you 5, 6 times, and it's still not happening. And they tell him, looking in my face and telling me, no, this
Yep.
ain't my child. I don't know. Where do we go from here? So them teachers gotta deal with that. I
Mm-hmm.
don't. So my child is in the mix of that. The amount of time that whatever naughty child is taken from the teacher dealing with that, and then they've got to come and spend 2 minutes, 1 minute with my nah, man. I'm not on that. I'm not on that. You do your job as a parent, man. You gotta make your job as a parent is to make sure your child's good. That's it.
I'm really, really glad you said that because, I'm not a parent yet. So everything I have is, in terms of opinions on this type of stuff, is from a theoretical or hypothetical point of view, right? Um, and so I always like to check in with my friends who are parents because I want to make sure that, okay, I'm not being unreasonable. Maybe there's something I haven't factored in. But I 100% think that if you have a child, that child is your responsibility, first and foremost. Let's start
Mhm.
there. So if you're, and I put this, out in a tweet as well, like if you have an 11-year-old child in your home that cannot read 4-letter words, that is on you. That is on you. And like, I know there are conversations out there about like, okay, institutions, especially when we're talking about like public funded schools, so state schools in this country, right? Because I guarantee you the kids in private school aren't having the same issue, not at the same rate.
Yeah, yeah. But at the same time, I was literally about this. You just crossed my mind. Even if you in private schools, private education, and you're paying a lot of money to make sure your child reads, it's still even your own responsibility to make sure
To
you're
make
getting your
sure that
money's
happens.
worth
But you know what? You have more of
by reading with
leverage.
your child.
Absolutely. But you have more leverage to be like, I'm paying you school fees.
Mm-hmm.
If this school isn't teaching or putting, the right connections and things like that in place for my child, I don't need to be paying you school fees, because let me tell you, the school down the road that way is free, right?
Yeah.
So I understand, like, I can pretty much, without even looking at the stat, I can pretty much be confident in saying that the stats don't look the same when it comes to private and
100%.
state school, right? And so with state school, though, it's publicly funded. We know there's shortages. We know there's underfunding. We know what government likes to do to government funded things is to just not fund them and use the money somewhere else. Where? Don't know. But we know that this money is being pulled from there. We know teachers don't get paid enough. We know they're working, the ones that can get work are not, getting the best working conditions. We know that a lot of the time we've got a teacher with 30 plus students in their class. There is a conversation about improvements that need to be made. There's a conversation about what the government is doing with our taxes and why teachers are leaving the profession, why teachers aren't being respected, why teachers aren't being, aren't working, reasonable number of hours and earning a fair wage. There's conversations around all of that. Why there's so many pupils in, per classroom. Absolutely, these are conversations, and absolutely these are things that need solutions. And it's not to take away blame from the institutions at all, because that literally is your sole job, is to educate these kids. And there should be no 11-year-old that can't read 4-letter words.
100%.
However, you, parent,
how you let it get this far,
conceived, birthed, and are raising this child. Do you mean to tell me that you have no interest in their education at to the point where they're 11 years old? You've never once done homework with them. You've never once had a look at anything they've done in school. You've never once even asked them questions about what it is they're learning and tested them to see if they are actually learning things in school all day. You've never spent time reading a book with your kid. How does that happen? And like, I do want to acknowledge, the same way I've acknowledged the issues with schools, I want to acknowledge that, especially now, the way that the society is moving, parents have less and less free time. Parents are working a lot to just keep up in this economy. It's absolutely insane. And I don't like shaming parents if it can be avoided. But I do believe that you are responsible for your child, even in this economy. I do believe you are responsible for your child's well-being, how they're raised. It's your responsibility at the end of the day.
And let's be honest, some of them are lazy as well, man.
That's what, I don't want to. I don't want to put that on them, but
not all the time. That I didn't say all.
Time.
Not all the time. Some of them.
How is that even possible? Why are teachers having to beg parents to read with their kids at home? Why is that a thing?
And I guarantee you, there must be a stat out there. Obviously, it's hard to track because people can't really do. But I guarantee you, children's screen time has increased a lot more.
Through the roof.
Do you know what I'm saying? Because you can stick your child through in front of an iPad from 8 in the morning until 7 p.m.
Yep,
but you
absolutely.
can't read it. I mean, so
I think if you can't confidently say that you are parenting your child if you are not at all interested in helping further their education at home, as well as just sending them off to school. I'm so sorry. So, okay, I want to then find out from you, Troubz. I think we're probably going to agree on this. I want to find out who you think, since we have to be judgmental, this is the judgmental segment, who you think is more at fault here. So, first things first, are we going to say mercy or no mercy for parents of, obviously nothing's going to happen to these people, just in case you're listening to this for the first time. Obviously, we're just talking. We're just talkers that talk. Mercy or no mercy for the parents of these kids that cannot read properly at 11 years old?
No mercy for what?
Hard times, the economy, and being busy.
Listen, my mom was busy. My mom was busy. 2 jobs, like weekdays, barely even see her. You see, weekends, she make sure. Like, she would make sure
Yep.
Weekends, she's gonna make sure. And I actually think I could read before it got to the segment of read. I was always ahead.
Same.
No excuses.
Hmm.
No
Yeah, I
excuses.
hear you. I'm giving no mercy for the exact same reason. My mom, single parent, works 2 jobs, and like I was ahead reading age, very, very much ahead on my reading age throughout school. My best grades were around language, English specifically, obviously, English language, English lit, all that type of stuff. So yeah, no mercy, because you're not the only parents that are busy. Like, you have to make time. My mum was always busy, but you know, one thing she did
And
every single night when we were watching TV, she would quickly mute the TV. She'd get the remote. She'd go, "Give me the remote," if I had it or whatever. Press mute,
yeah.
and she'll give me 5 hard words to spell every night.
Yeah.
Every something like that.
And
That
how do
doesn't
you
take
break
a lot,
generational curse if you don't
man.
somehow prioritize your child, man?
I
Like,
think for like people with immigrant parents, I think we see things a lot differently as well. Because our parents, like, move countries and face super difficult conditions when they move, and they're not coming from money a lot of the time. So you have to make it work, and you've got
yeah,
kids and you're trying to figure it out. And yeah, I think we're raised a little differently because of that, because
different
it's
mindset.
not easy, man. The
Yeah,
mindset is there because it wasn't easy for them ever. So they know what it takes to make it, and they don't want us to not to have anything holding us back in any way, shape, or form. Like, not being able to read at 11 is unacceptable. It's
yeah.
unacceptable,
Don't shame my family. Would be, don't shame me like that. What you mean you can't
man.
read?
You're gonna leave
Like,
this house and embarrass me and my legacy. That's what I would hear
yeah,
if this was me.
yeah, 100%. What you mean you? Nah,
And what
nah.
about for
I'm
the
done.
teachers? So we're talking about, maybe not teachers, let's talk about state schools in the UK. Mercy or no mercy for them because of this stat?
I think mercy. I have mercy on the schools. Actually, at the same time, 11 not reading is mad. 11 not being able to read is mad. So maybe no mercy for the schools as well, because if something like that's happening, I'm expecting them to put certain things in place, alert the parents. Listen, I need you lot to do this. I need,
Yep.
although sometimes there's only so much you can do. I get it, but generally speaking, maybe I don't know what their resources are like. I don't know. It's
Good.
hard, man. It's hard. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard. But 11 though,
11 is crazy.
my child's 6 and she's learning how to read now. Like, 11 is mad. Yeah, man. I don't know. I have to put everyone at fault if it's at 11. I have to blame everyone. Everyone
Me
has to
too.
play a part. Everyone has
Me
to
too.
play a part. So
I think everyone plays a part in this. I don't think this is a single person or set of people who are at fault here. I'm saying no mercy for the institutions. It's going to sound mean, but I am saying no mercy for the institutions. We're not talking about primary school kids.
yeah.
11 years old, you're in big school,
Yeah, that's what
right?
I'm saying.
So
Your
that means
11 is
this has
mad.
had to happen throughout primary school. The entire time in primary school, you men are not catching this.
No one. No
You
one.
men are
That's
not
crazy.
catching it and doing something, anything to prevent this. Listen, it has to be a no mercy from me. But I do believe the parents are more at fault. So yeah, 11 is just mad to me. So I think, yeah, the institutions, no mercy for them. I understand though that there's a lot of pressure, not very many resources. I get it, but the entire time through primary school, they should have been picked up. They should never be in big school, like,
How
can't read 4-letter words. That's absolutely insane.
it's mad because, and I don't like to make things about race, but I would love to know what race are the kids as well that are.
Mm,
Obviously it's mainly probably about class, like working class, whatever. But
yes.
I think race plays a part because my my child's cool. Obviously, she's in primary school. She's 6. She's in year 2. this was last year. Yeah, last year they showed us some stats that said, and I've still got the graphic on my phone that said mainly Caribbean boys do are not doing they get they get less grades than not so much good grades as the others. So I'd love
Yeah,
to see the stats of the people
broken
of the
down.
kids that are not reading as well at 11 years old.
Yeah,
Because they said it starts from primary school and it gets even just like the graphic shows it gets even bigger as it goes into like primary school and high school and
yeah.
yeah.
But like even the the fact that so many UK adults can only read to a 9 to 11-year-old level,
That's
I
insane.
think it shows that like there's gaps, continuous gaps that happen throughout education where they're not getting what they need. They're just not.
I would also love to see how the stats were pre-social media.
Oh, okay. I think I agree with you, actually.
I would love to see that. I would love to see pre-social media. What were them stats like?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's mad.
Yeah, I definitely think the algorithms and all that, I don't know. I don't trust them. They're up to stuff. They're
Not
definitely
just
up to
the
stuff.
screen time that people spend so much time on screens
But it's
nowadays.
because it's the mindlessness of it, right? So even if you're looking at screens but you're doing something, it's I don't
Yeah,
think
that's
that's a
true.
big deal, right? But if you're just mindlessly scrolling through slop constantly,
Yeah,
slop,
yeah.
it kind of messes with your brain. It's definitely done it to me. It's done it to I think all of us to some degree. Just
Mhm.
being on social media and just constantly seeing things that are meant to like trigger you or
Yeah,
just see it's not I don't think it's a productive place to be, but we're all there. So what are you gonna do, right?
yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, that's it then. So we've got 2 no mercies. That's fine. That's the end of the show. So, is there anything that you would like to let the listeners know about? Anything you want to promote?
Just support Pod of Mercy, support the Plug TV, Premier Battles, everything everyone's got going on. Yeah, just stay in touch. Follow us on socials, and then if you see something you like, support that.
Yeah,
One of them ones, basically.
I agree with that.
That's
Yeah,
why I'm on. I
absolutely.
don't even tell people now to support. I just if you see something you like, support it. It's my job to provide something you like. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm with that. I'm with that.
we want to see more
Yeah.
Pod of
So if you're
Mercies though. So
well,
I'll be
listen,
watching.
I'm gonna keep trying with the consistency. I'm 100% gonna keep trying. Um, obviously you're the plug, so we've got the plug 5 next week on Saturday. So if you are in London and you want to or you're nearby London and want to travel into London on the 26th of October, you'll have a good time, I guarantee. So please make sure you buy your
100%.
tickets. I will put a link in the description just so that you have a link to go get the tickets, but it's basically premierbattles.club.
There you
Right.
go. That nice and
So if
simple.
you liked this episode, if you're one of my people that I've happened to find, please do rate it. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please do rate it 5 stars, and more people can find it. Hopefully, find more of my tribe. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much for checking out the visuals. Please do engage with the video, subscribe to the channel, all that kind of stuff. I am going to try and be more consistent. That is the aim. Consistency is key. So we are now doing episodes every Wednesday. There's going to be a visual element on YouTube and, of course, the normal audio versions as well on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SoundCloud as well. So, yeah, if you enjoyed this, please interact. Please keep in touch at Pod of Mercy on all the socials.
And if you got any tips, let us know as well, by the way. Let me just say, because this was a very dope topic. So if someone watching might come up with some tips or whatever, let us know.
Help us out. We need the help. Help us out. Let us, if you've got something that worked for you, please, even if you see us in the street somewhere, just stop us and say, listen, this, and this worked for me. Please. We need it.
100%.
All right. Well, with that said, I thank you so much for joining me for the first episode back in ages.
Thank you. I had a lot of
It was a
fun.
great chat.
And I learned a lot.
I had fun too. Yeah, I had a great time. So yeah, I will see the rest of you next Wednesday. Bye.